This is the noob, and this video is going to be a quick introduction to Nirvana2D, which is the 2D sprite and tile map editor that comes with RCBasic, starting with 4.2, but it'll be with it onwards as well. In this video, I'm just going to introduce some basic functionality, and we're going to go through the steps of how to make a simple platformer. Before we get started, I would encourage you to install Git so that you can clone the assets from GitHub. But if you don't have Git or can't install Git, let's just start by going to github.com/noob87 /RCBasic underscore tutorials. Alright, so if you have Git, just go ahead and copy this link, and I'm going to create a new folder on my desktop. I'll call it tutorial. Okay, and then in here, open up a terminal and just type in git clone and paste that link and clone it. If you can't install Git for whatever reason, you can just click on download zip button and extract that as well. But for future tutorials, I'll be adding assets to this repo as well. So for future tutorials, you could just type in git pull in the folder, and it'll pull any changes. Well, yeah, I have to be in the folder, and then I could just do git pull, and it'll pull down any future changes. But you can just keep on clicking that download zip button every time too. So now that we have that downloaded, we will come back to that in a second. I'm gonna go ahead and close. Well, yeah, I'm gonna close this, and let's go on ahead and open up Nirvana2D. I'm on Linux, so if you are on Linux, you can go into the RCBasic folder and just run the Nirvana2D.sh script right here, and it'll start it up. On Windows, you're gonna have to go into the Nirvana folder inside the RCBasic folder and run Nirvana2D.exe. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this. Sometimes I'm glad this happened. Sometimes there's like some issue where it doesn't size properly when it starts up. You can just like resize it, just resize the window a little bit, or if you just maximize the window, it'll fix that issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and go into maximize it, and to get started, let's go ahead and create a new project. So let's click on this new project button up at the top, and I'm going to name this project Nirvana tutorial, and I'm gonna save it, I guess, in that folder where oops. So let's go other, and I had the prep stuff I did here, so I'm just gonna make a new one here. And so click OK. Alright, so now we have our new project. Let's go ahead and hit this save button before we do anything else. And now let's go into that new project folder that we just made. Alright, so we're gonna go into here. This is all the stuff that should be generated when you make a new project. And for now, we need to pull our assets into this new project. So in the tutorials folder, we pulled down, go into RCBasic Forum, Nirvana2D, and tutorial 1. And let's just take all of the assets from these files and put them inside of our folder. So let's copy and go back to the Nirvana folder, the project folder, paste, and I'm just gonna merge. So that brought in all of the assets we're gonna use for this tutorial. We can go back into the editor for now. Okay, now that we're back in the editor, let's start by pulling in the assets that we copied over from the repo we cloned earlier. So let's start with the sprites. I'm going to go over to the sprite editor tab at the top and then click on load sprite. And let's start with the dk.png. That's going to be like our character that we move around. And I'm going to make the sprite ID like dk underscore actually I'll just call it dk. And the frame width and frame height, these are the width and the height of each frame in your tile sheet. So in this case, like I have the frames for this sprite as 32 by 64. So we're gonna make the width 32 and we'll make the height 64. And click OK. Now we have our DK sprite, and it's the sprite, but it's really just the sprite definition that we're making. So later on we'll create a sprite based off of this definition, but that's just naming conventions. We don't really need to worry about that. So we have our sprite sheet showing up here now. So let's go on ahead and we start with one default animation, which is just the base animation, which is always just going to be the first frame of the sheet. We're not going to ever touch the base animation, so let's just create a new animation. And once we click the new animation button, the animation pops up in the animation list. Select that animation. And then this is something important before we go into renaming an animation. If you have your mouse hovered over anything in the editor, then that well, like the panels will capture the mouse input. That's the way Nirvana works. So for now, make sure your mouse is not over, doesn't ever get over this panel, because otherwise it'll capture your keyboard input and you won't be able to type anything in. So let's go up to the animation name, click in here, and I literally just did what I said not to do. So click it here again. I'm going to move my mouse up, and then I'm going to name this animation idle and right. So this will be the idle animation facing right, and the frame we have in here is good. We're only gonna have one frame for our idle animation, so let's go to new animation again, click new, click on the animation, and then we're gonna name this one run right. And now for this one, after we name it, we're going to adjust the frames. We want 4 frames in this animation. So below the cell panel down here, we're gonna click on the frames, and we're gonna move. You can either like use the adjust buttons, or you can just type in here, but set it to 4 frames. And now we are going to set each of these frames. So before I do that, let me explain some basic controls for this. Let's say we had a sprite sheet that was longer than that didn't fit inside of this whole display right here. You can scroll through the display by with your mouse hovered over it by using the WASD keys. So that's how you would move around this. And the movement might be a little bit wonky. It'll improve with future releases, but yeah. So now to set these frames, we're going to click on the first cell, and let's set that first cell to this frame I have highlighted. This is the second frame in the sheet, but the one I have highlighted with the red box, and click that, and our cell will change to that. Now let's click on the next one, and we'll go to the next frame here, and then click on the next cell, and then it'll be the last frame in our run animation, and then click on the final cell, and we're gonna go back to this middle frame. And now we need to set our animation speed, and I think a good animation speed for this will probably be about 8. So let's go and go with 8, and then hit the play button to preview it. And yeah, it looks like a decent speed. That's about what we want. So once we're done playing our preview, you can go and hit stop. And now let's make animation for jumping. So new animation, click on the animation, and let's rename this jump right. And for this one, we only need 1 frame. We'll click on the cell, and we'll go to our jump right frame. And now we're gonna basically do all of these same 3 animations for the left side as well. So let's go to new animation, click on it, and we'll call this one idle left. And for this one, the idle left frame would be this one right here. This one I have is right after the right duck animation, which we're not using. So we're going to click on that. And now a new animation will have run left. Oh wait, select the new animation. Make sure you don't rename the one you have currently selected. So select the new one, and we're going to call this one run left. And let's go and add 4 frames to it, and then set the frames to the running animation frames like we did before. The first frame is the far right on the first row, and then they just go in order from there. So yeah, and we'll set this FPS to 8 just like we did for the right. And now let's do a new animation, and this will be our jump left animation. And let's select this and select our left jump. Alright, and now we need to adjust our collision box for the sprite. So let's go over to the collision tab here, and we see that our box right now, it covers the entire size of our frame, even though our sprite isn't as big as the entire frame. So we're gonna click on the left, this single click, single point select. But before I do that, like we have 4 tools on there. We have the single point select, the box select, the move tool, and then the polygon draw tool. So the polygon draw tool is only used if you change the shape type to polygon. But for now, we're just going to stick with the box shape. So a single point select is all we need. We can select multiple points using the single point select by holding control when selecting new points. Well, actually, I think we need yeah, you can't select multiple points on this this screen, but when we get to the map editor, you will be able to. And also, if you are on the polygon tool, I'll go ahead and show that real quick. Let's say you were drawing like a polygon shape, and then right click to close the polygon. Here you'll be able to select multiple points. Well, I guess not. It's you'll be able to select multiple points for it on the map editor, because we will be doing some polygon drawing on there later. And I will probably be adding multi-point select on this in the future too, but I guess I did not do that right now. So alright, so just like adjust the box so it like fits your sprite. And then once we're done with that, let's go ahead and load the coin sprite now. So let's load coin. It's 32 by 32, so we don't need to touch the size, and we'll just call it coin. And hit OK. Now let's select coin. We don't need to adjust any animation. We're just going to stick with the base animation for coin because it only has 1 frame anyway. So on collision, let's make the coin a circle. And we see that the circle right now, it's adjusted to fit the entire size of the frame. So we don't really need to adjust it, but if you just wanted to play around with adjusting it, you just select a point and then move to change the radius of it. Or you could select all the points to move the entire shape around. But the way it was by default is what we want, so let's just stick with that. So now we are done loading our sprites. Let's go to the tile editor. And before we get to the tile editor, there's something else that we need to do. Alright, now that we've finished with the business we needed to handle, let's go ahead and load our tile set. So click the load tile set button here, and we'll just select that. We only have 1 tile set, so select that. Our tile width is 32 by 32, so the default size will work. And I'm just gonna call this tile set. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just gonna call it that, and hit OK. And now let's select the tile set, and we see our tile sheet loaded here. The controls for moving around on the tile sheet is the same as it is in the sprite editor. Just hover your mouse over and then WASD. we are going to set to animate our water for this tutorial. So um, the tile set editor works like very similar to the sprite editor and how we are going to animate. But the difference being is we have these two uh, radio buttons down here that'll change the mode the tile editor's in. These are needed because if you remember on the tile sheet, we could add multiple animations to our sprites and stuff. So we would just select the sprite animation on the list on the left. We don't have that for the tile editor. Each tile is its own animation basically. So we have to make sure we're in the tile select mode, which is this first box right here. When selecting our tile we want to animate, so let's with it in that mode, let's select water, the first frame of the water animation. And now to animate the water, we need to switch to the animate mode. So let's go ahead and click the animate mode button, and this is going to be 2 frames of animation. And now make sure it's in animate mode before you try to like change the frames, because otherwise it'll just select the tile as the base tile. So let's click on this second cell and then click on the second frame of the water animation, which is next to the first one. And now let's set our animation speed down here to like, I don't know, let's try 6. I think 6 is gonna be good. And yes, it does look a little bit stretched in the preview window. That is something that will get fixed in the future, I hope. But I mean, it's gonna be fixed in the future. But yeah, for now, just don't like assume this is how it's going to look in the game or even on the map editor. It's just like a preview window thing. So the speed of the animation seems pretty good, so we'll go ahead and hit stop there. And that's all we're going to like. That's the only animated tile we're going to have for this tutorial. But to show off one other feature of Nirvana, we're going to go over to Tile Mask and select a new tile mask. We have mask 0. We're going to call this tile mask water, or water mask. So before we start like editing our tile mask, let me just briefly explain what a tile mask is and why it is here. Specifically, it's for when you want to detect a collision on a specific tile or a type of tile on your map, rather than just having the default collision from shapes and stuff. It's something that maybe not maybe you won't end up using if you're just making a platformer or whatever. But if you wanted to like have a certain type of tile that when your player collides with it triggers like a certain thing to happen, this is what tile mask is for. So we're just going to like have our water mask that has the water tiles in it. So just click on all the water tiles, and you should see these gray dots over them once they're selected. Like that means they're in this tile mask now. So later on when we get to the code portion, we'll be able to check against this tile mask to see if we've collided with water. So that is all we're going to do on the tile editor. So now let's head to the map editor, but before that, alright, now now that we're on the map editor, we need to make a stage in order to be able to add our tiles and sprites to. So on this right hand side here you have this panel, and this green plus button is for creating a new stage. So let's go ahead and click that, and I'm just gonna call this stage 1. And the tile width and tile height it needs to be the same size as the tile set you want to use. So to give a brief explanation on this, like Nirvana allows you to use multiple different tile sizes for tile sets, but let's say you had three 32 by 32 tiles and like 5 16 by 16 tile sets. If we set it to 32 by 32, we're only going to have access to those 32 by 32 tile sets on this stage, but we could create another stage that's 16 by 16 and we'll have access to those tile sets instead. So make sure the tile set, the tile width and tile height is the right size for the tile set you want to use. 32 by 32 is fine, and I think we can keep this as 100 by 100. That's the amount of tiles across and the amount of tiles down the stage is. I think 100 by 100 is fine for this. We're not gonna, be making a Metroidvania or anything. So, with all of this done, let's just go ahead and click OK. And now, right now, we can't do anything in our stage because it's not selected. So like up here on this toolbar where we create a new stage, on the far right you see the stage and then NA in brackets. That means we don't have a stage selected right now, so we need to double click on the stage here and we'll know our stage is selected because our stage name will pop up there. Once our stage name pops up there, now we need to add layers to our stage in order to be able to add stuff to them. So let's go over to this layers tab now. Alright. Now on this layers tab, we have our toolbar up top here, and then we have like these controls on the left side here for moving our layers around, and then this control for deleting our layer, and then these settings for different layers. For now, we're just going to make a background layer. So let's go ahead and create a new layer. Let's call this layer background. And then for layer type, let's select Canvas 2D. Canvas 2D is just it's the layer that Nirvana uses for backgrounds and stuff, but it's also just a normal drawing layer in RCBasic, so the type of layer that you could create with just open canvas. But we're just going to use it for a background here. So once we have our name set and our layer type set, let's click OK. Now we have our layer showing up here in our layers list. So to be able to edit that layer, we first need to make this layer active. So over here on the left side above the stage edit panel, we have this layer drop down. If you click on that and select the layer we just made, which is background, now this is the active layer that we're editing. So to edit this layer, we need to go, we can go over to this image tab on the tools section at the bottom here. Click on the image tab, and here we have the render type and layer image. So let's select the layer image first. Layer image, we only have one that we brought in when we copied our assets earlier, which is this bkg1.png. So let's select that, and now we should see our like a layer of clouds and stuff. which is the image that we brought in. Now, the type of layer affects how the layer is rendered. So we have three types. Normal, which is just draws the layer normally, draws the image normally, and then stretched, it'll stretch the image to the fit the whatever window it's on. But what we want and what we probably want most of the time is probably tiled. And the reason I say that is tiled, it will like allow us to allow the layer to scroll. So if you hover your mouse over the stage edit panel, you can use WASD to move around just like you can on the sprite editor and tile editor. So use WASD to move around, and you see the image is tiled. So, you know, and once you're done moving around, if you want to just go back to 00, you can click on this camera button above the stage edit panel, and then set the camera view back to 0, 0. And now we're back at where we started at. So now that we have our background layer set, let's go ahead and add our tile layer. So let's select new layer, and we'll just call this layer tile tile underscore layer, and the layer type for this is going to be tile map. And then select the tile set that we made earlier and hit OK. The thing about tile maps in Nirvana is each tile map allows you to have one tile set loaded. But you can have as many tile layers as you want, and you can also just have as big of a tile sheet as you want to. So it's not a limitation really, it's just how it's designed. So to be able to edit tiles, let's go over to our active layers drop down, and we want to select the tile layer. Now that our tile layer is active, we can go over to tiles, and we see our tile sheet that we have selected for this layer. So let's just play around a little bit with some tiles before we start making our map. So let's select that animated water tile that we made earlier, which was the first frame of the water animation. And now on this toolbar at the on the tiles tab, let's go over these tools real quick. The first two tools are for selecting tiles. You have your single select and your box select, and then this tool right here is the move tool for tiles. And then you have the the set tile tool, which is what we're going to be using to put tiles on our tile map. And then this tool next to it is for copying tiles. So like you can select multiple tiles, and then you can use this to copy the tiles, to like copy a repeated section of tiles from your tile map. This next tool is the flood fill tool, so we can flood fill tiles like we can colors, which is the normal flood fill command and stuff. And then this button right here, this last button on the toolbar, is for deleting selected tiles. So if you select a bunch of tiles on your tile map, you can click this button and delete them all at once. But you can delete individual tiles by right clicking while on the tile while you have set tile selected. So let's select the set tile button. We should have our water tile selected on our tile sheet, and now we should be able to just draw water on our tile map, and you should see the water animated the way we set the animation earlier. Now to delete that water, like I said, you could just go over the tile and right click to delete them individually. But you could also select multiple tiles with the box select tool, and you can delete tiles using this delete tile button. But you can select multiple tiles with the single tile select by holding down control and oh, that's not working here either. Yeah, I guess you have to use the box select. I did I think this that like that is already something I have already worked on for the next release. So in the next release you will be able to hold control to select multiple tiles. But yeah, it's not working now. So yeah, just delete. So for now, let's go ahead and make our tile map. So let's go back to the set tile, and we're gonna use just this normal ground plane tile I have highlighted here. And I think we're gonna have a like when we go into our actual code, we're gonna make a 640 by 480 screen. So I think having the tile I think this would be a good well, let's see, 640 to 480. So like yeah, having the tile at around like I guess 320, that would be a good place to put the tile. So and I'm able to tell what position the tile is being drawn at by looking at this info panel here. So the middle panel where it says stage mouse, if you look at the tile X and tile Y, that's the position where the tile is drawn at. And the absolute X and absolute Y, and there is the absolute position where your mouse X and Y is. But the tile is like set to a like a 32 by 32 position, so it's gonna be 32, a multiple of 32. And right now we're not able to see the grid, but if you want to see a grid just so that it's easier to visualize where your tiles are, you can go over to the settings here in this top portion and select show grid. And while you're at it, go ahead and select show shapes as well, because show shapes, when we make our shapes later on, we'll be able to see the shapes when we switch layers, because otherwise shapes are only visible on the layer when you have that layer active. And if you want to change the grid color, like if you're not able to see this gray that well, you can change the grid color here too. So let's change the grid color to black. Be easier to see. So yeah. So like I said, I'm gonna go with like 320 for the tile position, and then 320 for on the tile Y, and then I'm just gonna start just drawing across like that. And then after that, I'm gonna add some water. Maybe not a whole lot of water. Alright, and then after that, let's take one of these like ice tiles, and we're gonna draw a little bit more going across here. So after that, let's take this angled ice tile here, and we're gonna start drawing a little bit of an incline like so. And yeah, I'm not gonna tell you exact like like step by step how to draw, but just try to make a map similar to the one I'm making. Once you close off an area, you can just use this flood fill and just fill it up. I'm gonna do the same thing, like take the ground tile here, and Oh, I did not want a flood fill like that. So make sure you have a closed in area before you flood fill, because otherwise it's going to flood fill your entire map. So yeah. Uh, and flood fill. And yeah, this is just a tutorial, so oh man, use this as an opportunity to really get familiarized with the tools and stuff. That's the whole point of the tutorial. Uh, like actually, I don't really need to, but I'll really quickly also show off how the copy tool works. So let's I have the box select tool selected, so I'm just going to, I don't know, select all of these tiles, and then I'll hit the actually I'm not gonna select all of them. I'll select these tiles right here, just like a little small portion of tiles. And then I'm gonna hit the copy. I'm gonna select the copy tool, and then I'm just gonna click. And now when I like drag and drop, I make copies of it. And then I'll just select all of them and delete it. That's also basically how the move tool works as well. So like, you know, hang on. With these tiles selected, I'll just move. Alright. And that's basically how those tools work. Um, so going back to set tile, and I'm gonna finish just drawing a little flat area here. And I will make like a little bit of a wall here. So I'm done with this. Maybe I'll make it a little bit thicker. But yeah, I'm basically done with this. Also, just to show off, I actually made this tree for the sole point of showing off this one feature in the tile sheet editor. So you can select multiple like tiles to set. You just have to hold down the left mouse button and then drag over all the tiles you want to select. So I'm gonna select all the tiles that make up this tree, and now I can like set this entire tree down, which is actually made up of 6 tiles, and I can, yeah. So that's a cool feature that my original editor from RC3 didn't have. It's like you can select multiple tiles in here for, like, if you have an object that's made up of multiple tiles, you can select them all at once. So now this is all we're gonna do with the tile map. So let's go ahead and make a new add a sprite layer. So we're gonna go to new layer. Let's just call this sprite underscore layer, and it's gonna be sprite layer type, and hit OK. Alright, so let's go ahead and select this sprite layer. So you notice when we select the sprite layer, the tile sheet disappeared. It's because we're on the sprite layer now, and now we can only use the sprite tools and the collision tools. So stage collision and stage sprites, like they are both part of a sprite layer. Let's go ahead and before we add our collision shapes for our stage, let's go ahead and add our sprites. So let's start by adding our main character sprite, which is going to be the DK sprite. And I'm going to call this sprite ID DK underscore OBJ. And hit OK. And now I will want to move him over maybe right by where the tree is. Something else, since I have this sprite selected that I'm going to show off, is these two buttons in the top right corner of the stage edit panel. So right now you see that we're in like that first mode is selected, which is the freeform movement. It allows me to just move around freely. But this second one allows movements to snap to the tile grid. So if you select that and move your sprite around, the sprite's movements is gonna snap to the tile grid now. And we're gonna have it kind of floating up a little bit. That way it has to fall down when the stage starts, just so we can show off gravity and stuff. So now let's go ahead and add we're gonna add our coin, maybe a couple of coins. So let's call this first one coin 1 and select the coin, and yeah, we're just gonna have a coin here, and then we're gonna have another coin which we're gonna call coin 2. Okay, and it's gonna be here. And the reason for I'm having this, I'll have them both start up a little bit higher. The reason I'm and yeah, like on the sprite tool, these tools work the same way. Like the select tool and move tool work the same way as they did in the tiles select and stuff. The only difference in the sprite tool as far as the transform tools is now we have two extra tools that we're not really going to use, but I'll show off anyway. So the first one, let's select the DK sprite again, and we have the rotate tool, which as you might have guessed, you can use to rotate the sprite around, but I want it at 0, so we're just going to switch back to 0. Oops. 0. And the other tool is like that's here is the scale tool. So this scale tool, select it and you can make it bigger, which we just want a scale of 1. We're not going to do anything fancy with scale here. So but yeah, that's what those tools do. And then this like plus sign over the hero is the button I used to add sprites. I don't know if I was clear when I was clicking that. This minus one will delete a sprite. This one with the paper over it is for copying a sprite, so I can copy the DKOBJ sprite, and now I have a copy of it. And I'm gonna and that last tool, this last tool here that has the arrow at the top inside the circle, that's for centering on the sprite. So like click this and our view now centers on what I have selected. If I select the original DK and hit it, it'll center on that. Which also I am going to increase my camera move speed. I'm going to increase it to like 20. Yeah, and that makes it like so I can move around a lot smoother. And like feel free to play around with a lot of these settings. That's what the whole point of this tutorial is. But I'm gonna go ahead and click that, and I'm gonna delete that by clicking here. And yes. So now we have our coin 1, coin 2, and DK underscore OBJ. Let's go ahead and click save. And now let's go ahead and click this generate button next to the save button, which is going to generate our code based on our project. So let's go ahead and do that. Hit the generate button. And for now, we're basically done with the Nirvana editor. I generally would probably leave it open, just so I could reference the or make on the fly changes to my map and stuff. Actually, we're not done yet. I'm sorry, I forgot to add the shapes. So let's go over to the collision tab, and we're going to make a box shape for this first platform and then a polygon shape for the second platform. So let's first click on the box shape here, and it creates a new box. So like now let's just draw the box on this first platform. I have the if you have the tile mode selected up here in the top right corner, then your box points will snap to the tile grid, which is kind of what I wanted. If you want to just try drawing it freeform, you can as well, but it's more accurate to just let it snap to the tile grid if you're just trying to have it conform to the tile. But you may not always want that. Like you may have tiles that don't align with your tile grid, in which case you don't want the tile snapping. So and now let's make a polygon shape for this second part right here. So polygon, and just draw it so it lines up. And right now I'm left clicking to create new points, but you don't want to completely close it off. Get to the second to last point, which is in this bottom left corner here, and then to close your polygon, right click, and it'll form the last link between your last point and the first point. So now we are officially done with our map. And so let's hit save again, and then hit that generate button again. And now we're ready to actually start writing some code right after. Alright, let's go ahead and start up RCBasic Studio, which I'm using the Linux version, so I'm just gonna right click on studio.sh and run, or just run the shell script. It's different on different Linux distributions. I'm on Ubuntu, so let's go ahead and maximize this. And now I'm gonna go and open project, and let's go to where where I created the project. And when we create a new Nirvana project, it creates a RCBasic Studio project. So when you go into the folder from RCBasic Studio, you will find your RCBasic Studio project here. Let's just go ahead and click open, and now we have our project set up with all of the code it generated added to our project. So it actually gives us like in our main.bas a default template already set up, just so we could view our like a stage in our project. So right here where it says stage name here, let's just put our stage name, which was stage 1, and run. Now we can use the arrow keys to move around our project, and basically right now there's really nothing happening here. So let's first go ahead and set up physics for our project. So to do that, we first need to get our sprite layer, get a reference to our sprite layer, and then use that reference to set to get the canvas ID, and then use that canvas ID, set that canvas ID as our active canvas. I know I just probably didn't make a whole lot of sense, but after the load stage, add a lot of space in here, just so that it's easier to read. At least that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger too, so it's easier to read on YouTube. And now for this, I'm gonna put some comments here. Get the canvas. Well, actually, I'm going to be getting two things. I'm get the layer index and canvas ID. So to do that, we're going to make a variable for our sprite layer equals, and then a Nirvana function get layer index, which if we I'm gonna open up the documentation real quick just so we can see what layer index is. Hang on, it opened on a separate screen. Let me pull it over to this one. So here's the RCBasic 4 documentation, and let's go into Nirvana and Nirvana API, and we're going to go to layer settings. So the function that I want to use is this one, get layer index, and it takes one argument, the name of the layer. So in our case, let's go back to Nirvana, and the name of this layer is sprite underscore layer. So that's what I'm going to pass into the get layer index here, which I'll zoom this in so it's easier to read too. So yeah, so this is the function I'm using, and so I'm going to pass the name here, and it should return the index of the layer in Nirvana. So our layer name is sprite underscore layer, and that should give me the layer index, or it'll return -1 if it couldn't find this layer. But I'm not going to do any error checking right now because I know that layer's there, because we're currently working on it. So next is we're going to get the sprite canvas. So make a variable called sprite canvas, and in this case we want to set the canvas equal to Nirvana get layer canvas ID, and the layer canvas ID takes the layer index, which we just got up here. So we're gonna take that and put that right there. So now that gives us the canvas. So now we can set that canvas as active by using the RCBasic canvas function. Sorry, I'm having some issues with my keyboard right now. So canvas sprite canvas, and that sets our sprite canvas as active. And this is something important to remember about sprites in RCBasic 4. You can't really do anything with them unless that canvas that the sprite is on is active. So right now I have sprite canvas active. So now I can first set Gravity2D, and we want to set the x 0, and y we're going to set the gravity to I don't know, we'll set the gravity to like 60, and I'll make some more notes there. Set sprite canvas active, and set gravity. Now we need to get the DK sprite. So to do that, we need to first get the sprite index. So DK NV index, NV for Nirvana. So the index Nirvana stores this sprite in, which we would use the Nirvana get layer sprite index, and to use this function we need to have the sprite layer index, which is just the sprite layer, and the object name, which in this case is this dk underscore obj. So dk underscore obj, and that will give us the index in Nirvana that the sprite is stored in. Now we can get the sprite ID that RCBasic needs to control that sprite by, let's just make a variable called dkobj sprite, or just dk sprite, I guess. Dk sprite equals Nirvana get sprite ID, and then we would get the sprite ID from the sprite index. So now we have our RCBasic sprite object that we can use with normal RCBasic commands there. So to have right now, let's just go ahead and run this. Nothing's gonna happen, but we just want to make sure everything that we did works. Oh, we set gravity so the objects are falling now. And you notice the objects were falling through the ground. That is because they are not solid by default. So let's go ahead and set my keyboard is lagging like crazy, probably because of all the stuff I have open. So let's set sprite solid dk underscore sprite and true. So this makes our sprite solid, so it won't fall, it shouldn't fall through the ground now. So let's just play that. And DK solid, but the coin isn't, so the coin is falling through the ground. And remember, we have two coins, coin 1 and coin 2. So to set those coins solid, we basically just do the same thing we did here. So let's just copy this, and we're just going to do the same thing for coin 1 and coin 2. So get coin sprites, and so our coins were coin coin 1, yeah, which is, I'm gonna call this C1 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 and yeah, C1 and actually so we have our C1 sprite. Let's just take this, copy it, and just change a little bit to get coin 2. Coin 2 and set that. Alright, so now all 3 of our sprites should be solid. So, oh, wait, I realized the mistake I made. So C1 sprite, let's do the same thing for C2. Yeah, so now all of our sprites should be solid. So let's run this again. And now we can use the arrow keys to move around. And yeah. So before I do anything else, okay, I had to take a quick look and at what. So RCBasic's 2D physics, in case you're watching this and aren't aware, is built on Box 2D. And the reason I was having a I was taking a look at like some documentation because I was curious as to why a circle shape was getting caught on a corner there when it should have slid down, and it was because of how the shape was structured. So like you can't have like concave shapes. I guess that would be the right word in Box 2D. So to get around this, I had to divide this right here into 3 different shapes. So this polygon shape is this first part right here. So going all the way to the end of the flat surface and then going down this incline, but then you have to kind of come back around. And then this second box shape is just this middle flat part right here, and this last box shape is this like a wall right here. So maybe it'd be easier to see without the grid. So the polygon is this part right here, although like yeah, this part right here, this flat part, the incline, and then down, and then back around, and then right click and then link back up. And then these 2 parts, this part right here is a box, and then this part right here is also a box. So I apologize for that. But yeah, go ahead and if you were following it earlier, just you can delete the shape you made and then just create a polygon shape right here, a box shape right here, and then a box shape right here. And then go ahead and save and generate off of that, and that should result in the types of collision we want. So now that coin, when it slides down, it should slide down there and slide all the way up to the wall. Alright, and now let's go ahead and continue on to the rest of this tutorial. So the next part I think we need to do is character movement, because we kind of want that character to move. So let's get rid of all of the camera stuff for now. Yeah. actually, I guess we'll go ahead and get rid of everything inside of here, and we'll start from scratch. It'll probably be easier to follow that way. So now, before we do anything else in our while loop, let's go ahead and get rid of this camera speed. Actually, yeah, get rid of the camera position variable entirely. Actually, no, don't get rid of the camera position variable. Just get rid of the cam speed variable. And we'll use this camera position variable later, but for now let's just focus on the character speed. So, well, character movement. So we'll make a variable called dk speed and set it equal to well, dk, yeah, velocity would, it'll be easier to identify with the functions we're going to use. So dk velocity, and like let's just set it to like, I don't know, like 40. That's a good value, I guess, for now. And now we want dk to move left when we use the left arrow key and right when we use the right arrow key. So let's just do if key k underscore left, then and then else if key k underscore right, and another then. Alright, and so we want it to go left when we do the left key and right when we do the right key. Actually, so I guess I just realized that since we are going to be changing it, so let's do dk speed of like 40, and then we'll make that velocity variable here. Well, not here. Yeah, here. So we'll say velocity by default will be 0. If the left key is pressed, then velocity will be negative dk speed, because left, we're moving in a negative direction. And then velocity will be positive dk speed if we're going to the right. And then we also want to, so let's just if keyboard's messing up. So if dk velocity is not equal to 0, actually, what? There was some. For now, I'm just gonna do set sprite linear velocity to for dk. Come on. The keyboard really is freezing up on me. dk sprite, and we'll say dk dk velocity and 0. Alright, so what this is doing is if the left key is pressed, we'll set this velocity variable, which is by default 0, we'll set it to negative dk speed, and positive decay speed if the right arrow key is pressed. And then down here, we're setting the linear velocity of our sprite. We're setting the x velocity to decay velocity, and then the y velocity to 0. So we don't want it moving in the y-axis. So let's see that happening. But alright, so now we are able to move left and right, but our fall has gotten really slow. And that is probably because we are setting the y velocity to 0, obviously. So to get around that, we need to get whatever the y velocity currently is and then set it to that. So let's have a vx for velocity x and a vy for velocity y. And then we'll get the current linear velocity for the sprite. So get sprite linear velocity decay sprite vx comma vy. We're not going to do anything with vx because we're using the decay velocity as our vx, but we're getting how fast the sprite is currently falling, and while we're changing the direction the sprite's going with x, we're going to make sure it keeps falling at the same speed by setting it to whatever the sprite's current like linear velocity y value is. So now it should fall and we can still move left and right, and now we can move left and right on the ground as well. I feel like we probably need to adjust the speed. So let's do, like, I don't know. Let's I guess triple it. Sure. Yeah, I think this is a good speed. So now we can move left and right, and then obviously if we go over this, we're gonna our velocity is so fast that we could still make the jump. Yeah, that's a thing, I guess. So let's fix all of that. Well, let's fix one thing at a time. So first off, our velocity is so fast that we can just outright make that jump, and it's probably because we would technically, if DK is on the ground, we would technically be setting the velocity to 0, because that's what it is. So yeah, this is actually probably beyond the scope of this tutorial, because this is starting to become less a tutorial about Nirvana and more tutorial about physics, which I didn't want it to be. So let's go ahead and just add a quick like, we're gonna add a jump real quick. So we'll say if actually, before we do that, we're gonna have the camera follow DK as he's moving. So we have this camera position variable right here. We're going to have it set to like camera position dot x should be the actually, yeah, so let's say sprite x DK sprite. So that would put the camera right where DK is, but we want DK to be in the middle of the screen. So we should take this, which is the x position of DK, minus half the width of the screen. So in this case, our screen is 640 by 40, so we're going to say half the width of 640, which is 320. and then camera position Y, it can just stay 0. We don't need to really worry about changing Y. And then we can do Nirvana set stage offset, which basically is the stage camera, and we would pass camera position to it, because set stage offset needs a 2D vector passed to it. Well, a Nirvana vector passed to it, so that should be it. Let's go ahead and run that. And now if we move, the camera moves with us. And the one other thing we're gonna want to do is, like, we have the DK moving left and right, but we don't have animation set for it when he moves left and right. So I guess we'll do it here. So after we get done with this velocity stuff, we'll actually, no, it should be while we're doing the velocity stuff. So if the left key is pressed, we're gonna set the animation to the left run animation, and if right key is pressed, we're gonna set the right run animation. So let's go with we first need to get the animations themselves. So let's go back to sprite editor and go to DK, go over to our animations. So if he is running right, we'll play the right animation, and if he's running left, we'll play the left animation. So run underscore right and run underscore left. So animation equals Nirvana get sprite animation that gets the sprite animation name, but we need to get, I am actually gonna need to probably reference the doc for this. So in this case, sprites, and so we could get the name of each animation. So if we were using the Nirvana API, and this is probably more just an oversight on my part, we would need to loop through all of the animations to find the animation that matches the number we want, which, I mean, yeah, sure, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll say left animation and right animation. Yeah, I'm probably just going through the motions at this point, and I apologize for that, but that one map thing, it kind of just threw me for a loop. So I think until I yeah, like in the next version of RC, it'll give me a chance to fix the API a little bit more. But for now, for I equals 0 to Nirvana get sprite animation count, and we want the Nirvana sprite index, which in this case is gonna be, oh, actually, and this is another thing too. So this is the sprite index returned to the manage for the given Nirvana sprite index. So yeah, you have the sprite indexes, but you also have sprite definitions. But in this case, we just need the sprite index, which is this. And then -1, because it's going to be 0 to max size is going to be 1 less than the number. Um, so if Nirvana get sprite animation name dk and index I equals run leth, then leth animation equals I. Else if Nirvana get sprite animation name dknv index I equals run right, then right animation equals I. Alright. So that will get us our left and right animation, so we don't need to do it here now. So now when the left key is pressed, we'll just set sprite animation to for dk sprite to right animation, and then for left we'll just do the same thing for the left. And don't worry if I'm going really fast and you can't follow along. I'm going to add the code I'm writing now to the repo, along with maybe a few more comments added to it to make it a little bit clearer to understand and stuff. And I'm always going to be available on a forum or anywhere that you can reach me. You know, the itch.io, the forum, the Discord, the comments on this video to answer questions. So there's multiple ways of getting your question to me. So let's go ahead and run that. I made one mistake on line 70. So set sprite animation. Oh yeah, when you set the sprite animation, you also need to set the number of loops, which you set it to -1 to have it loop continuously. And now, oh, that is we need to add 1 to I. The base animation, the default animation, is 0, so that's something that you need to account for. Yeah, but there's also something else I messed up on. So run left and run right. So run left, yeah, that should be it. Left, oh, see, here's where I messed up. So if key left is pressed, it plays the right animation. If key right is pressed, it plays the left animation. So let's flip those. I am human, I do make mistakes myself. And also, if the animation is already playing, we don't want it to play again. So let's see. If get sprite current not, you know, I'm just gonna set a flag for this. So current animation equals -1, we'll say. If current animation not equal to left animation, then we'll set that to the left animation, and set current animation to left animation. And if current animation not equal to right animation, then the reason I'm doing this is because if every time you do set sprite animation, it's going to set it back to frame 0, which is why you had that paused movement. So, oh wait, what am I doing? If current animation not equal to right animation, then we'll do that, and I will probably stop the tutorial here after this, because this is more going into just coding and logic rather than just a tutorial on the Nirvana itself. But yeah, now we have it. But he keeps on moving left and right, probably because we're not setting it back to the idle animation. But that's fine. I'm probably not going to focus too much on that. I'll probably make a future tutorial on specifically maybe more logic stuff, maybe a future tutorial on physics type stuff. But that should give you like a rough idea of how to use Nirvana to create your levels and to get your levels into RCBasic. One thing I also wanted to explain that I didn't really get the chance to here is, let's say you had multiple stages. How do you go from one stage to another? And the answer is this. If you want to go from stage 1 to stage 2, you just call Nirvana load stage 2, and it'll take care of all the stuff of clearing all the assets from stage 1 going into stage 2. So that's really all that it takes to switch stages if you have a multi-stage project. But yeah, I'm gonna call it here for this tutorial. If you got anything out of this, you want to see maybe a future tutorial on something, bring it up on the itch.io page, or on the forum, or on the Discord, or in the YouTube comments, and I could look into making another tutorial on that. But that's it for now. I will see you later.